Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Experts. We are your Couples Academy practitioners. My name is Walter Jennings.
And I'm Jeff.
Jeff Witt from the FOUNDRY program and extraordinaire. Jeff, how's your week been going? How's everything doing?
It's been great. It's been an awesome week of my weight loss journey. I was just telling you about that. I lost 12 pounds so far this week. That's pretty good. It's pretty extraordinary.
Fantastic. Yeah, we've been continuing on. Of course, we are done with the FOUNDRY program, just completed a 12-week program with a couple of brothers. And I tell you, if you have not investigated or heard more about FOUNDRY, we strongly encourage you to do so. If you know a man that could benefit from getting some focus in his life, recommend you definitely look into the FOUNDRY program. If you are a woman and you're looking for something to help you get focused individually, we recommend UNEARTHED. Both of those are individually based programs based on gender. Very powerful, very effective. Jeff, thank you for your leadership and for even helping to lead out that initiative. I've seen improvements in my life, even as a practitioner, and it's really helped me to get focused in it. So what are some of the things you're hearing from some of the gentlemen that have participated in FOUNDRY over the past couple of weeks?
So, basically it's similar stories across the board. It's an opening of the mind, and every group is different. Sometimes we have really, really strong groups who do like a lot of the work. Other times it's just a few individuals. But at the end of the day, it's not so much what you hear right away. It's about what you see down the road, because it's one thing to be all rah-rah, sis kumbaya in class. It's another thing when you go back and you look a couple FOUNDRY classes ago and you have wives sending you messages saying, I don't even recognize my husband. It's like he's a whole different person. That's the whole goal here, is that it's not just the tools you pick up in FOUNDRY are things that you're going to take with you if you decide that you're going to make that journey for the rest of your life, and it's going to make an impact.
One of my favorite components of FOUNDRY, and I didn't even realize this until I got in it, was not only these diverse groups of these diverse individuals from all over the world, but being connected with like-minded individuals that are wanting to get better, don't necessarily know how. And there's this camaraderie and this fraternity and this kinship that's built where you all are holding one another accountable, and to see the leadership that raises up in these men as they go through the program is absolutely astounding. And so remembering some of of course, I can't call any names, but seeing them at the beginning of the process and now seeing them at the end of it, and how assertive they are, how the thirst that they have for knowledge and reading is just absolutely phenomenal.
There's a myth out there that, a leopard can't change its spots, all these kinds of things. But the truth of the matter is, when a person finds their purpose, finds their vision in life, there's nothing that can hold them back except themselves. So, at the end of the day, it's the choices we make. And a lot of people don't know. I mean, a lot of men live lonely lives without realizing they're alone. They have people around them, but none of them are stretching them, are pushing them. And, a lot of us came from sports teams and we were in different groups that stretched us and made us want to do more and be more in life. And when that ended, so did our dream and our vision. There's a statement that was made, I forget who said it, but it said most men die at like 25 and the rest of their life is like a living death, because they're just living the same cycle over and over. They no longer seek growth. They no longer seek something more. They kind of just settle in and accept that this is the world that's been handed to them, because they were told it worked a certain way and then they found that it didn't work that way and they got stuck. And I think what FOUNDRY does is kinds of like what a FOUNDRY is. It melts down all of that garbage that was picked up and allows you to start building something new if you're willing to do the work.
For those of you just joining us, you are tuned in to Ask the Experts. Myself, Walter Jennings, Jeff Witt. We're talking about the FOUNDRY and the UNEARTHED programs, waiting on you to ask your questions. Please be sure to get your questions or comments into the chat. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more Ask the Experts. everyone. Welcome back to Ask the Experts. Walter Jennings, Jeff Witt, Couples Academy practitioners. Be sure to get your questions and comments into the chat. We do have, it looks like a partial one from Lisa. Lisa says, my husband works for the state. They were hosting an event and I decided to take my client, I'm a caregiver, to get her out of the house. My husband is the betrayer. So, Miss Lisa, not sure of your question there, but I know you're setting the atmosphere for what it sounds like maybe a little bit of previous infidelity that has taken place, and come along and kind of and shadow him a little bit in that. And so the fact that you all were able to take that trip together, I think is an important part of rebuilding the trust process, is being able to be open. And I believe, I don't know, Jeff, I don't know if it was you or Hasani that said
wow.
that people who
the other half, the other shoe just dropped.
Okay. Part 2, here we go. The woman he cheated with me was present. She spoke to me. I felt very uneasy. Was I wrong to feel that way? Jeff, what do you think?
No, I mean, you should feel uneasy talking to someone who was messing around with your husband. I mean, that's perfectly natural to feel uneasy about that situation. I don't know what you can say or do in that situation other than try to get out of it, you know. But the thing about it is, and I'm not trying to start nothing, but why was she there unless she works with him?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I also think, too, that it's important to remember that when we talk about healing and forgiveness and moving forward, life will oftentimes put you in positions to test you to see if you have really moved forward and if you've really forgiven and if you are really ready to launch into that newness. So it is an opportunity for you to also do some self-reflecting as well. So you're not wrong for feeling the way that you felt as it relates to having to interact with her, but it is an opportunity for you to really look at, how did I feel? Why do I feel the way that I'm feeling? And what work still needs to be done, not only within me, but also within my marriage as well. So that's a great opportunity to really have some really crucial conversation within yourself. All right, go ahead, Jeff. I saw it.
Oh, well, she said, I feel that she was too bold and comfortable. She does not work with them. She lives in the same town. Yeah, my question is, again, and this would be for your husband, is why the heck was she at that event? Like, there should be no contact, and it should be made clear that there's no contact if things are going to move forward. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you've got to set those boundaries. You've got to establish those boundaries with him. But at the end of the day, like I said, like, why is she at some work event for the state unless she's involved in some way with that kind of work that he was doing? It sounds to me like she's making her presence known to make you uncomfortable.
Absolutely. We got one from Daryl. Daryl says, so me and my wife have been going through a rough patch in our marriage. I am very flirtatious, but I've done some inappropriate flirting that has led to the situation we are in. So how do I begin to rebuild that trust?
My question is, what hole are you trying to fill, either in your marriage or in yourself, by flirting? At some particular time in our lives, we decide that we're not going to play the games anymore. You know, it doesn't mean that situations don't happen where there may be some uncomfortableness when you're talking to someone, but you should not be looking to go out and flirt. It should be something that you're working on curbing. But the only way you're not going to be able to suppress that. A lot of us try to suppress our emotions, suppress our feelings, and what ends up happening is they erupt. They erupt in sometimes awful behavior. What should be done is more of a deep searching inside of yourself to figure out what is missing, that this game that I'm playing could be, that energy could be redirected towards, you know, there's a playfulness that goes in business, for instance. There's a playfulness that can go back into your marriage, for instance. There are things that you could be doing with your kids, for instance, that create that same chemical reaction in the brain that you find and are looking for in that flirting. And like, that's one of the things that Foundry does, but it's also something you should be definitely investigating, is figuring out what is causing you to seek that, because it's called attention. Flirting is attention-seeking behavior. That's what it is. And so if you're not getting the attention somewhere in life, whether it's in your business life, in your spiritual life, in your relationship, you may want to try to find a way to filter that energy into something that gives you that attention without causing the problems.
Yeah, Daryl, I'm not sure if you were online when Jeff and I started at the top of the show. We were talking about Foundry, and this is exactly where Foundry is at its best, because what it does is it allows you to take that type of energy that you may be utilizing in inappropriate ways or from an inappropriate source, and channeling it into productive ways that are going to be constructive for you individually, but are also going to be constructive for your family and your loved ones. So, and strongly encourage you to look more into Foundry, because based on your comment, you know it's inappropriate. So you know you shouldn't be doing it. But so you've got this energy. It's almost like a child, and you're holding it in your hand, and it's like, I got to do something with it. And so the challenge is, it's not what you have, it's what you're doing with it. So it's just like any tool. A tool can be used to build and construct, or a tool can be used to kill. And so it's not the tool that's the issue. It's what are you doing with it? That's the most important thing. Got to comment here. Go ahead, Jeff.
I found in my own personal situation, I was very flirtatious at all my corporate jobs up until I left corporate America. And the truth of the matter is, it almost destroyed my relationship. When I decided to take that same energy and put it into business and learned how to do it, it was a tough transition. And just put it into like getting the interest of a business owner, right? When I took that interest and also put it back into rekindling my relationship, that's when things changed for me. It like, going from sleeping on the couch for 3 years, thinking I was going to be in divorce every day, fighting with my wife all the time, to literally now my kids are like, you guys need to get a room. That's to do that after 20 years of marriage, that's something you don't really hear about, but it's 1,000% possible to rekindle the love, the caring, and get that attention that you've been seeking from the person you chose to be with.
Absolutely. So, Daryl, just to take away from this, first of all, definitely look into Foundry. Second, be willing to delve into the source of where that's coming from. Third, make sure you're open to planting that energy into more constructive means. Got a question from Kimberly here. Kimberly says, how do you heal, forgive, and get over past hurts when it seems those behaviors are repeating themselves from 10, maybe even 20 years ago?
A lot of times when we think things have been healed, or we think that things are going forward, really what's happened is there's been an apology, there's been a short change in behavior. But if the patterns of living do not change, if there are not new rituals, new circumstances, new things that are being pursued, new goals for the marriage, what you'll find is it's natural tendency to go back into the subconscious routines that we normally behave in, because that's what comfort zone is. If you think about it, just in the world of bills, for instance, all of a sudden you get a surprise bill. The shocker comes in. Oh my God, the water's going to get turned off. Electric's going to get turned on. Oh, I didn't realize I owed $3,000 after COVID on something a lot of people are experiencing right now. They thought they had forgiveness and they didn't. And basically that's the same as getting caught, right? And what we do is we change into a whole new human being for a moment to try to get those bills paid, and we get them solved, and then we go back into our comfort zone because the panic is over. What I've learned to do is to choose to make myself uncomfortable and put myself in a situation, always working to keep her attention, as if she was my girlfriend that I was dating and trying to lock down from the rest of the world, as opposed to just being my wife, which is a role that she plays, and the mother of my children. And that's true even in business. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in a relationship. So I believe that in your particular situation, both of you would benefit from coming up with some serious goals that stretch your relationship together. And, if he's willing, we're more than happy to talk to him. Walter's great at that.
Yeah, Jeff, this reminds me of the whole diet fad. Every couple of years, there'll be this great promotion about this state-of-the-art diet that you can lose a whole bunch of weight, and everybody jumps on board. And then a few months after they lose all this weight, they gain it back. Why?
That's because they have no plan. I'm on one of those right now, and it's working marvelous wonders in my life. But the thing about it is I spent a year in the gym working without that, right? Getting the discipline up to be able to handle it. So that way, when I go on this trend diet that tends to be working for me right now, the first one I found that does, I'm actually, setting up and planning to do the same things that I was doing right before that, which was the hardcore workouts and being in the gym every single day, so that you have the dedication to maintain the change. And so if you don't have a system in place, a ritual in place, working out every day is a ritual, praying every day is a ritual, reading every day and learning something new about yourself is a ritual. Putting time and effort into your relationship by having date nights and work nights is a ritual. And by putting these rituals in place, you secure the change. And eventually it goes from something you have to make an effort to do to something that becomes automatic. And that's what we're all looking for.
Yeah, there has to be buy-in and there has to be commitment to a lifestyle change.
Yep.
This is not a fad, that this isn't something that we're doing just to get past this rough patch, but we need to change course in our relationship in order for us to move on to exactly what we need to be. Jay has a question, says, what to do if my spouse works with the affair partner? I really want her to leave her job, but she can't. I don't want her to run into him.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I had to do it. He needs to leave his job.
Exactly.
I left a very prestigious company, a Fortune 500 well-known company that 4 presidents work for, because of my indiscretion. No one really got on me at work about it. It wasn't inappropriate in the workplace for them. It didn't matter, but it mattered to my wife. And so I made the decision to leave, and it was the best decision I ever made in my entire life, both financially and for our relationship.
Absolutely. So absolutely. So making sure that worrying about the affair partner and praying and hoping that they move is not where the work is. Faith without works is dead. And it's not faith that the work will happen in somebody else. It's being in control and making sure that you're moving on exactly what you can do. So if he needs to change and move on to a different job, you all can come together and believe that there will be something better for him out there. It's just a matter of looking and you all working together and coming up with a plan to be able to do that. Ben from Tennessee, shout out to Lakeisha Shipman Hines and SOS every Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Ben says, good morning. He is a shapeshifter. And also he is learning more about himself, and it helps him to understand his why when it comes to some of the challenges when it comes to sex for Ben. Shout out to Ben. He's one of our regulars that tunes in. And then LaShawn says, good morning. My husband and I are separated. However, we still hang out as a married couple. When people ask my husband, are we back together? He says, no, we just hang out. Which are we still trying to do this as a married couple, if you know what I mean?
Which we are still doing this as a married couple.
Doing this as a married couple.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like, is he even interested in reigniting the relationship? Because there's a comfort zone of that can happen if your boundaries aren't set strong enough, which makes him become too familiar. So, I mean, the real question is, are you a married couple that's hanging out and still having sex together where he's got some kind of benefit? Or are you a married couple that's separated and just hanging out because of the kids? The dynamic actually makes a difference. If it's a wife separation with benefits kind of situation, you may look to draw boundaries, hardcore boundaries, because that convenience for him allows him to do what he wants and have what he had to some degree, and gives him a lot of open space. And so I would consider possibly, if he's interested in rekindling the relationship in any kind of way, looking at Last Chance Weekend, because that's a very common situation that we experience at Last Chance Weekend.
Absolutely. There definitely needs to be an uncomfortable, courageous conversation about what moving forward looks like. Are you all going to remain separated, or is there going to be a plan for reconciliation? And then what does that path look like? And then making sure, as Jeff mentioned, that you're creating boundaries of then what does the relationship look like while we are in this reconciliation phase? Because there shouldn't be the same access and benefits if you're in that particular phase and working on building back together as there is when you all are coming back together and functioning as a married couple. And that is one of the common mistakes that people make, is that they separate, they move out, they're in 2 different spaces in 2 different homes, and they've got all of this physical and mental, spiritual space between them, but they're still trying to function as if they're together for convenience sake. And convenience can be the killer of marriages and relationships. Absolutely. You all are going to have to ask yourself the hard questions and really figure out how you all want to move forward. Hey, listen, you all, the questions are continuing to come in. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Jeff mentioned Last Chance Weekend, which is coming up next weekend, always the second weekend of the month here at Couples Academy. So check this out and we'll be right back. Okay, everyone, that was the Last Chance Weekend. Once again, takes place the second weekend of every month at the Eating House in Georgia. An absolutely transformational experience. If you and your mate are having serious issues, contemplating divorce, please make sure that you log on to Couples Academy and get more information about the Last Chance Weekend. It truly is a last chance, and it will absolutely be, you'll get all the tools and strategies that you need to make a good informed decision about being able to move forward in your marriage. All right, Jeff, we've got a question from Denise. She says you've already answered it, but I wanted to have you to chime in regards for everyone else's benefit. She says, as it pertains to forgiveness, can't forget, but outside of catching thoughts, what can help those moments when the thought of his infidelity stings, the good moments we are trying to have?
Well, Denise, this is and I know you well, Denise. This is really about your rituals again. So yeah, I did kind of answer it. You need to have daily rituals that put the distance, because a lot of us like to stay. See, we think because we physically move and physically do different things, that we've actually moved emotionally from the problem. The truth of the matter is, if you don't have rituals in place that help you build your strength and help you create new moments to replace those old moments, you'll find yourself emotionally stuck in the same position, even though you physically have moved forward. And so these daily rituals, which I'm sure your partner will explain to you that we do, you use those and add those into your life. And I promise you'll see a change, because especially in the communication, because you guys will have something that you share in common with those daily rituals.
And it's very important for you to be patient with yourself and to be patient with your partner in this process. We oftentimes hear people say, it's been 5 months, it's been 6 months, and I'm still being triggered, or some of these issues are still coming up inside of me. When is it going to go away? And the answer is, it goes away when it goes away. And when the full infusion of that new lifestyle, of those new habits, of the newness of your marriage and a relationship takes hold, then that is when you'll be able to move past a lot of those feelings. But it does take time.
It does take time. And I think there's one thing that we don't ever discuss about triggers that puts a little more responsibility on the person being triggered. And that's the part that when we actually take a look at what is triggering us, that it's actually insecurity. See, anger is a form of insecurity. It's, I don't know how to fix something in my world. We call it conscious incompetence. I don't know how to fix this pain. I don't know how to fix this. If there's something missing in us, we feel like there's a hole in us. And some of us use pain, some of us use depression, some of us use anger to fill that. And then we'll find other means, sometimes sedation, medication, eating, drinking, even cheating, as a way to cover that emptiness feeling, to sedate the fact that we're feeling that way. When the truth of the matter is, at some point, there will be a decision that's made that says, I am not going to feel like this anymore. If you truly believe that there's change, at some point you need to act on that change and force yourself into a better situation. One of the things that I've always told people is, like, when you feel depressed, go for a run. I don't care if you're out of shape, go for a run. You will flush the cortisol out of your body. You cannot feel depressed when cortisol is flushed. It's just impossible. Go, like, everyone feels better when they punch a punching bag or go do martial arts or one of those kinds of things, so they get it all out, the rage rooms, those kinds of things. And the truth of the matter is, that's cool, but the problem is that to do those things when you're mad, I get it, but the problem is you probably should be doing something like that on a daily basis as a ritual to flush that cortisol and stress, so that you can have a clear mind to begin planning for the future and create rituals for that as well.
Absolutely. Black Butterfly has a comment, says, what am I missing with my partner wanting me to be touchy-feely while dealing with another situation of infidelity? Where does that come from when the unfaithful partner chose others to cheat with?
So when you say dealing with the situation, another situation of infidelity, are you talking about past tense? You found out about another infidelity, or is he still engaging in cheating? That's where I'm not clear. But either way, I think we have answers. If the cheating is still going on, it's called Get Off Me, Set Boundaries, and Establish Your Rules. And there's a great book called Boundaries that you should probably check out. If we're talking about the past and he's touchy-feely, you're going through pain right now, and you don't want anybody touching you after they just found out. He wants to be all up on you because he's trying to rekindle, reconnect, and whether that's real or not, we don't know. That's one of the things that cheaters or players, or even what the common word today is F-boys, do, is they're always using affection and touch because it's one of the ways that people can be manipulated. I'm not saying necessarily that that's what he's doing. He may just be trying to honestly reconnect because he realizes he created pain, but both of you need to go through a learning process of what it takes to appropriately do that at a pace that you both are comfortable with. And I would suggest getting counseling.
And Jeff, she goes on to say, it's a hurtful time, yet I'm being put in positions to reject, yet feel bad about it. So that conflict, just so you know that your feelings is absolutely normal. You've been betrayed. You've been, and now with trying to rebuild that trust. And it sounds like you all haven't necessarily really addressed the issue the way that it needs to in order for you all to be able to move forward. And oftentimes couples will put the things in place physically in order to be able to move past infidelity or indiscretion without really dealing with the issue and where that root is. And so that is important. There's some individual work that also needs to be done in order for you all to get back to that place of physical and emotional intimacy.
The key to your marriage restoration is your personal transformation. That means each of you individually, separate from each other, working on transformation to become the best version of you that you can become. And then coming back together and working on a common goal and a common thread, a renewed goal, a brand new goal, because what was not good enough. What can be, might be.
Speaking of that individual work, our man Gonzalez says he strongly recommends Unearthed, and there is a Unearthed Women's Retreat that's coming up next month, September the 9th through the 11th. Be sure to get more information about that. Jeff and I talk a lot about Foundry, but again, there is an Unearthed group specifically for women that allows you to focus on your individual work, and we strongly advise you to make sure that you get involved and get more information about the Unearthed group. So, more questions. We've only got about 1 more minute. Jeff, this has been really good, always insightful, always really informative as far as with this information. Any closing thoughts we prepare to end for the day?
No, I think at the end of the day, I think everybody's, got a potential within them that needs to be realized. And I don't think we spend enough time on it. And if there's one takeaway that I would hope that you all leave here with, is that we should all be constantly striving for the best version of ourselves. Every single day, we need to have a routine that allows us to perfect. And just because we stop school doesn't mean we stop learning.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all once again for joining us for Ask the Experts. Be sure to tune in each and every single Friday for this time with the Couples Academy practitioners. Also, be sure to check out each and every single night, Monday through Thursday. We have shows lined up for you all, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On behalf of the Couples Academy, I am Walter Jennings.
I'm Jeff Witt.
And thank y'all for tuning in to Ask the Experts. Peace, y'all.